getting half a story from somebody. Look, we would love to speak to Antonio Conte for a long time ahead of this game, but Premier League rules are 3 questions only about this game specifically. And what he chose to tell us there was part of the reports that we've read in the papers about this back injury that we're led to believe led to a bust-up between Costa and the fitness coach. Conte gets involved, and now he's not here today. What do you think of the way the Chelsea manager chose to deal with that?
I thought in a very good way. It seems he's protecting his player, you know. You see the way Payet at West Ham with Slaven Bilic come out in his press conference and basically, is there now a way back for Payet at West Ham? Didn't miss him today, they won 3-0, so they didn't miss Payet today, but that interview there with Des seems like the manager is protecting his player and might try and work it out. There might be a way back for him. He's saying he's injured, they're going to be without him today, but I think there's more to it.
Well, I know that your opinion is that if he's had an offer from China that pays him £30 million a year, whatever ludicrous figure there is, then he's entitled to take it. What do you think?
It's a lot of money, and you know, we see these Brazilians, these foreign players coming out. There's not much loyalty in the game from these players. I think we saw last year with Costa as well. He wanted to go back to Atletico Madrid, didn't he? So I think he's been looking for a way out. And I can half understand it, but you know, from my point of view, as a player that I was at a club that I loved, the biggest club in the world. I didn't need to go, and I wouldn't need to go looking for money. But I can understand why Costa would. What I would say about Conte, I love the way he's handled this so far. You know, he's come down on probably his best player, his most influential player of the season, and he's shown the rest of the squad, look, if somebody steps out of line, they're not doing the thing that I want them to do, then I'm going to come down on top of you. I don't care who you are. And he's done that, and I also think he's very clever with his interview that he's left it open for Costa to return. He's not had a go. It might be different after the game. We don't know. You know, he might say some different things, but I really like the way he's handled it so far.
OK, well, it's one of these challenges that you have to deal with if you're a top-flight manager. Let's speak to our own former gaffer, Glenn Hoddle, who's part of the team up on the commentary box. There is always a point, though, isn't there, Glenn, where you can do your very best to protect a player, you can come down hard on the player, try and keep the player. But sometimes it just is in everyone's best interests, if these stories keep on resurfacing, to let someone go no matter how good they are.
Yes, Jake, but that's at the end of the line. You've got to work at communicating. I would have thought that Conte now would sit down with the player, number one, and anyone else that he's had a problem with, whether it's the fitness coach, and communicate. And is this being driven that he wants to get away from the club by the player, or is it from his agents? That's where the club takes over and talks to the representation. But for me, it's about communication and whether the lad wants to play and stay at the club. They're top of the league. Does he want to win the Premier League with Chelsea, or is his loyalties with himself only, and he just wants that individual move to go to China? He probably has got a slight problem with his back, and it's funny, when you lose a match, all them things come out. When they've been winning, he's probably thought, well, I can still play with this, and there's been questions, but it's a different ball game when you start losing matches, and they were in a great run, they lost to Spurs, and suddenly all this happens after a loss, which I find very surprising.
And we've got this situation, we've got Jose Font, of course, at Southampton. We've already spoken about the Payet West Ham situation. What's going on with loyalty in the game? Because, you know, if you go on social message boards, if you speak to fans, they hate this sort of stuff, Glenn.
Yeah, there's no more Paul Scholes around, is there, that's going to stay at a club for so many years. The loyalty's gone out, and it's gone out from the clubs as well, don't forget. You know, the amount of managers that get sacked after, you know, a very short period of time, you could say that's a lack of loyalty as well. So, you know, if we're looking for loyalty in the game, I think that went out, you know, 2 or 3 seasons ago. And I think the Chinese situation for a lot of players and clubs is going to rear its head time and time again if they're going to be prepared to offer these players that sort of money. So the loyalty is it to your club or is it to yourself? And at the moment, it depends on the individual. And I think foreign players are used to moving. They're used to changing clubs quickly. Maybe the English players, they're a little bit more loyal in that sense. It is this country they're playing in, their own country. Whereas I think the foreign players will see the buck and move.
OK, thank you very much, Glenn. Well, if we're talking loyalty, let's talk to Robbie Savage. When you were at Birmingham, you rang the chairman and said you wanted... What did you say? You said you wanted to leave and you'd park your car in his driveway?
Well, I said to Steve Bruce, the manager, I'll go and park my car in front of the chairman's gates until he sells me.
And you briefed the press?
Yeah,
and you sulked in training?
I got a camera crew to film me on my day off at the training. You know, I was a shambles in training.
How do you defend all that now?
I was a disgrace. I was a disgrace. But, you know, the homesickness one, I played that as well. I said, if you don't play me, I'd just be injured. I didn't refused to play for the football club. I made it clear to Steve Bruce that I wanted to leave, go and play for Mark Hughes, who was my hero. And inevitably, I got what I wanted. Listen, looking back, it was a shambles and a disgrace, and I wouldn't advise it to many people, to anybody really. But at the end of the day, I got more money. I played in Europe. I had my highest ever Premier League finish, and I live near home.
So in the end, it all worked out for you, but it didn't work out for Steve Bruce, Birmingham and Birmingham.
Where did you finish? 12th?
6th. But hey, at the end of the day, but if I get injured, yeah, and they don't play me, and my contract runs out, they let me go, I've got to think of myself and my family.
But if you sign a contract, you should be loyal to that contract, no?
Of course, but at the end of the day, Jay, I was thinking about me. Of course, loyalty and contract. I just signed a 4-year contract as well, so very similar to Payet at West Ham, who signed a 5-year. I signed a 4-year, but I wanted to leave, and I'd done everything I could possibly for me and my family, and in the end, it worked out. But I was a disgrace, and I admit that.
And you were just thinking about yourself.
I was in a bubble, and I didn't care what people advised me to stay, don't do that. My dad said, what are you doing, son? And I said, Dad, I'm doing it my way, and that's it. And in the end, I got what I wanted.
Enlightening. And it still happens to this day across football. Right.